Salute, peace and power. Shalom, assalamu alaikum. Thanks for tuning in. For all of returning subs, thank you for my A1 Day ones. Highly appreciate the time, effort, and energy. So, lately, I've been analyzing and studying and paying attention to when you put something on the internet, it's very rare that you can get it totally scrubbed off the internet. So, you could have put something up there 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And you may believe or think it may not resurface. Well, that's not 100% accurate. It will resurface. It can resurface. And again, you could feel, believe, or think whatever you want. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just being honest when I say this, though. People are looked at and rated and dealt with based off behavior, not based off what they think, not based off what they believe, not even based off what they know, based off behavior. So I'm saying that to say this. You could have exhibited some poor behavior 10, 15 years ago, and it's on the internet. And it may not have came back to hurt you or haunt you, but it may do that 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, 5 years down the road. And you may have thought or believed, well, that won't come back to hurt me or harm me or bite me on the way in, because it's been so long ago. So you have to be very, very careful what you put on the internet, what you put on TikTok, what you put on Instagram, what you put on YouTube, what you put on these websites. And not only what you put on these websites, when you're out and about in society, it's surveillance just about everywhere. Just about. So I'm going to say 85 to 90% of the world is under surveillance. So you have to be real, real cautious and very aware of that. So again, when you believe something, or you think something, or you're fighting for something, or you want to protest against something, or protest for something, that's not an issue. Just be careful of the behavior that you exhibit. Be very, very careful of that. Because when you put that behavior out there, like I said, you may have forgotten that you've done that. We're in 2025. You may have forgot that you've done that. We're in 2026. We're in 2027. And wherever down the road it could be, you may have forgot that you said that or did that or exhibited that behavior back in 2010, 2008, 2005. You may have forgot you done that. And be like, wow, this was a long time ago. I was a teenager when I said that. Or I was a teenager when I did that. Or I was 20 years old when I said that and did that. So the whole notion of entertainment, that's why I always say I'm not against entertainment. I'm just more for education. Because when you put the education out there, you put the correct information out there, even if someone is upset or even if someone looking to cancel you or whatever they're looking to do, first and foremost, you're not displaying or exhibiting bad behavior. So that would help you, even if someone is upset at something you're saying that is true or that is accurate or that is factual. At least you're not putting and exhibiting or displaying bad behavior. Because now, when that video come back to resurface, how you going to explain that bad behavior that you exhibiting or you displaying or you putting out there? Or if you're going for a career position now that you feel like, you older or you in a better place mentally or spiritually or psychologically. So it's like, okay, now I want to pursue this career or I want to pursue this job or I want to pursue this avenue. That bad behavior could come back and hurt you or harm you or haunt you in a way that you didn't think about. So be very mindful of that. You like, you know what? I'm gonna go for this career now. I'm gonna pursue this job now. And the same thing with being on the internet, being a social media influencer. You have to be careful because the content you put out could come back and resurface and hurt you or harm you. That's why on my platform, I don't speak out against things that I feel or things that I don't like or people that I don't like. I just speak up about the research and the homework that I do or have done or still doing or still pursuing. And I always tell people, which I'm going to restart telling them again, do your own homework, do your own research. Because when you're not doing homework and you're not doing research, and you're just speaking up, or you're just speaking out, or you just get frustrated, and now you may say or do something that is like, wow, okay. And now that video may come back. It may resurface. It may pop back up in the algorithm. And you may be like, well, I forgot I said this. I forgot I said that. So when you're aware of that, you don't have to worry about something coming back in the algorithm. And if it does, you know you wasn't speaking hate speech. You know you wasn't displaying bad behavior. You know your intentions wasn't to harm, hurt, or to stir up controversy just for attention. You just spoke facts based around the information that you obtained or based off the research and the homework you've done. But when you're just spewing negativity or hatred or gossip or rumors or speculation or frustration because you're not getting your way or you're not gaining attention or you're not gaining traction, that video or those texts or those tweets or whatever it is, it could come back. And now you got to explain yourself or you have to explain your actions based off that. And if you're not ready to do that, be careful about what you put on the internet. Be careful what you say on the internet. And like I said, it's not just the internet. It's in society now. Because like I said, 85 to 90% of society is under surveillance. And depending on where you're at in society or on the globe or on the map, it might be 100%. I'm saying 85 to 90 because it's not literally and logically every place you step and go, you're under surveillance. And I know some people like to nitpick and say, well, you're not under surveillance when you do this. You're not under surveillance when you go there. So that's what I say, 85 to 90% of the world and on the map. Like I said, depending on where you are, it could be 100%. You're under the eye of a camera, or the eyes of the eye of surveillance, or the eye of AI. So, or Google Maps, or wherever the surveillance may be, or whatever the surveillance is. So you have to be real cautious and careful what you say, when you say it, what you do, who you do it around, who you do it with. And again, you know, you want to protest or you want to stand somewhere with picket signs and, you know, you want to uphold or uplift or fight for or fight against, your prerogative. Do what you choose. Just remember, surveillance is everywhere. And you may want to go out there with a loved one and say, yeah, no, I'll go fight for this, or I'll go fight with this, or I'll go fight for this. And now a video resurfaced which you wanted. So you have to be careful. You have to be mindful because you're going to have to explain yourself as if to why you said what you said and did what you did. And I'm not saying that every video I drop is perfect because nothing is perfect. However, I tread lightly. And when I do speak up or speak out about things, I'm understanding that the video or videos can come back. So that's why I'm real cautious of how I speak, what I say, also when I say it, because it could come back. It could resurface. Somebody could say, well, ain't that you on that video? Ain't you saying this, and that? And I have to be held accountable for what I say. I'm unable to point a finger or blame anyone when I'm out there on video, under surveillance, saying what I'm saying and doing what I'm doing. I have to be real careful, real cautious. So again, you don't want what you say and what you do to come back to haunt you or to hurt you. Be careful of what you put out there, where you put it out there, and who you're around when you're doing certain things in society or on the internet. Because you could be innocent. You could just be around somebody that says or does something. And they might get at you like, hold on, wasn't you around Jane Doe, John Doe when they said this, that, and that? You might be like, yeah, I didn't feel like that, but you was on video with them. You were standing there with them. So you got to be careful. You got to be cautious. So that's why even though I'm only on YouTube, when I do, for example, get on the StreamYard and go to other people's platform, I'm looking to always be mindful. I'm looking to always be respectful or respectable. And I hold myself accountable about what I say and what I do. Because I don't want to get someone else flagged or targeted because of something I said and did. Because they was considerate enough to even have me on their platform or let me speak on their platform. Because I don't want somebody to suffer or become a victim of my bad decision making or a bad choice or bad behavior. Because that becomes relevant. Because now someone else has to pay a penalty or be questioned based off my actions. So you have to tread lightly when you're talking about putting things on the internet. You're talking about being under surveillance. Because like I said, there's cameras everywhere. And when you're aware of that, you have to be aware of it to the point that you understand that what you say, what you do, and your actions and your behavior is definitely under surveillance. So even if you not paying attention, someone else is. So every time I put a video on YouTube, even if it got 2 views, 200 million views, somebody gonna see it. Out of those 2 views, the one person that could have seen it, it could be detrimental to me. So we all got to be careful. That's why it's relevant to not just get upset and run to the internet and say and just start spewing out things. You have to be real cautious about that. When you're upset with a family member or a loved one, so now you or employee or employer, now you just want to spew out things because you don't know who's going to see it, who's going to hear it, who's going to save it or download it and play it back somewhere else. And it might not be surely your face. It could just be your voice. And some people are like, well, I ain't really say nothing. Okay, well, they might just get your face if they ain't got your voice. So we got to be cautious about what we put out. And I understand that we all under the impression, not we all, excuse me, certain people are under the impression that, okay, well, it's my social media. I can do what I want. We don't own these social media platforms. Even if, like, my YouTube page may be considered mine, but I still have an IP address. So at the end of the day, like, that can be researched through Google. My email address could be researched. And now somebody could, tap into that and say, okay, well, this came from this particular email address. And that email address was assessed to so-and-so, Jane Doe or John Doe. Now it could be tracked down through that. So be cautious and be careful. So even if you might not be on the internet yourself, but you created an email for a son or a daughter or a nephew or a niece or a grandson or a granddaughter or for a friend or for business, and now people have access to that email and they're able to use that email for business purposes. Be careful and understand that, when people using that email, what can happen. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to put this message out there to let everybody know. Be careful, be cautious of what you put on the internet, when you put it on the internet, how you put it on the internet. And regardless of what you think, feel, and or believe, people are looking at behavior. Even if you're not doing that, that's not a problem. But majority of people are looking at behavior. Because you could say one thing, but act another way. And you can act one way and say something different. So me, I'm watching both what I say and how I move. Because I may not say anything to offend anyone, but I may do things that offend people. But I may not do anything that offend people, but I may say something. So you have to be real cautious and tread lightly. And remember, just because you don't have an issue with it, somebody else will. So again, what you say and what you do is always under surveillance and somebody's always watching and or paying attention. Peace, one.